can tell you this, that I haven't seen this many good-looking women in one place. All my girlfriends got together after I went to jail. It was quite a gathering up in the carousel room at the Montreal. Same place that Tunson Park, of course, gave Elaine that $10,000. I've said many times, and I can say it without fear of contradiction here tonight. It was not illegal for her to accept it. It was illegal for him to give it, but not for her to accept it. And if anything you know about Elaine Schwarzenberg Edwards, is that you give her $10,000, and I'll tell you what, you're not going to see or hear from her for a few days. And so that, I mean, that's as fair as I can be about explaining that. But I do want to say that my life began in Avoyelles Parish, and I'm very happy to say that this is a parish that is at the very tip of the spear of that part of Louisiana, that a 22 parish area, which is now a legally defined term as Acadiana. 22 parishes, and right at the top, it sort of looks like a pyramid, and you've all seen maps. Maybe some of you have maps with my name on the bottom. Who has a map with I signed for them? A state map for 16 years, incidentally. Only 5 people in the history of the United States have served 16 years as governor. I'm happy to be one of those 5. But at that time, in Avoyelles Parish, way back on August the 7th, 1927, Agnes Bruyette and Clarence Edwards welcomed me into the world. And before me was born Alan, my oldest brother, and Audrey, my sister. Coming after me, less than a year later, was Marion, and then the baby was Nolan. And who could have forecast at that time that Nolan would be the first to lead us? But that's a story for another time. But I do want to tell you that when I was growing up, I knew I wanted to be one of 3 things. And what I did right away, this was the Depression. Remember, I was born in 1927. Right away, we gravitated toward a Nazarene church. My mother was a Catholic. My father was a Presbyterian. His background was from Wales, and my mother was a French Cajun, a Bruyette. But let me tell you, the Nazarene church fed us. And so you can imagine Mother loved to have that burden taken off her every chance she got. She would scoot us over there, and we began becoming more and more enamored of it, and both Marion and I became ordained Church of the Nazarene Ministers. Some people know this, some don't. And that's one of the 3 professions I thought I would be, either an actor, or a preacher, or a politician. In other words, they all the same. And it's funny because on those 3, it's very rare. I don't know what professions are represented here tonight. Some I can mention, some I better not. But the point being that there's very few professions where you can see the best in the world do what they do. Actors are one of them, politicians another, and preachers another, because you can go perform a lot of what they do in public. And that's something I was attracted to get that feedback that I find still irresistible, even at 85. But I want to tell you that my early life was filled with a struggle in the Depression, and I was happy to have the opportunity to have good teachers in Avoyelles Parish there. And I can tell you right away, though, I was a smart ass from the beginning. A story is told by a former teacher. She's now passed, but she used to tell it on me. She told it at the time of my inauguration in 1971, as a matter of fact, when she said, "You know, Edwin, I'll never forget the time in 2nd grade I was trying to teach you math. And I said to you, okay, Edwin, if I lay an egg on Monday and double it on Tuesday, and then double that on Wednesday, and then double that on Thursday, how many eggs I have?" You said, "You interrupted me." And you said, "You know, teacher, without fear of contradiction, I can say, I don't believe you can do it." So right away, I mean, she said she could tell right away I was going to be with a fast whip and a turn of phrase that would set people back a little bit. I wanted to share with you that I was the program here in Louisiana. As soon as I could get up and out of Marksville, I did. I went to LSU after attending Louisiana Boys State, a young program for learning about government. And I was the first person ever to go to Boys State who later was elected governor of the state of Louisiana, although we might have a second one in 3 years, 2 or 3 years, in 2015. If a certain candidate is described that he's going to run, if he wins, he'd be the second one to have that distinction. But then when I graduated from law school, I want to tell you this a little background. When I graduated from law school, my sister Audrey had married Reverend Isbell of the Nazarene Church. It's funny how proximity makes so much difference. She married a Nazarene minister, and he was assigned to Crowley. And when she looked in the phone book, she noticed there were no attorneys in Crowley that advertised that they spoke French. And of course, she knew I did. And she said, "Edmund, I think you ought to move here." And so I did, and after me, of course, came my older brother, Alan. He stayed in Avoyelles and then later moved to Arkansas and grew rice as a rice farmer there. But my younger brother, Marion, who was only born 11 months after me, and who recently passed away. I'm wearing this hat in honor of him. I do not wear it in the same panache that Marion, of course, wore that hat. And if you were at his funeral, I can't see very clearly with all the lights, but there's never been a funeral like that in Crowley with an old-fashioned